Hey guys, sorry this is late. I was off on holiday. But to make it up for you, I will give you two different teams. I'll first demo the two-man cheese team for really high scores. That'll require some regearing. And then I'll demo the, look, I just want to get triple S plus, maybe Dagger Sicar, and I don't want to regear a lot team. The things you need to know for this fight: you need a knight somewhere on the team for that 30% boost to attack and health. You need to be able to put buff block on Archdemon Mercedes for the 70% damage boost, and fire units are hosed. Sorry, Sirmia. The two-man cheese I'm going to use is Cerise. I gave Cerise my best possible speed gear, which really ramped her speed up. I think Bloodstone is the best artifact on her. It makes her somewhat of a healer with as fast as she cycles. Her S2 has buff block, she strips, she CR pushes, she dual attacks. She's perfect for this. The second unit is going to be Charles. Charles' S1 skill has a chance to double attack just like Sirmia's. So you want to put him on the EE that increases that effect. Put him on the best rage pen set you can find. Pen set's actually optional, but it does help with the transition. And I gave him Cruel Mischief, the Hall of Trials artifact, for maximum damage. If you don't have that artifact, you can run Symbol of Unity on him and stack pretty good damage with that as well. Now, I had considered putting Song of Stars on her for extra damage, but I'm not entirely sure I would have survived at the end with that artifact. Now, if Mercedes stuns either one of your units, just restart. Her stun RNG is not 100%, so you should be able to get a clean start. The S3 from Cerise gives her a 50% CR push, so she will definitely get to take a turn again and drop the buff block debuff. You want to do her S3 first to seal the slow debuff. You need 2 debuffs on to make sure you carry into the next phase. With the dual attack from Charles, it gets her right to the edge of being dead, so that the S3 for an attack buff on Charles will take you all the way in. Now, if Charles dual attacks, that's okay. Just use the S3 inside of the break phase. Now you're looking for dual attacks that combine with Charles's secondary jump and attack. This has got a relatively low percent chance of happening. It's like 25 or 30%, I think. You'll have to look at the skill. But it's at least as often as Sirmia's dual attack EE. When Cerise does not have her S3 on cooldown, she can't do dual attacks, so you do have to rip her S3 during the break phase once in a while to reestablish her ability to dual attack with Charles. And as you can see, any health loss I had is taken care of by Cerise dual attacking. For this reason, you want to put a crit chance main neck on Cerise. Every little bit helps, and that 100% crit chance on Cerise lets her heal a little bit better with the dual attacks. Now, I'm already at a really high score. I think if I S3 one more time, she will lap and get an extra attack in, even with Charles going next. Because of the 50% push, she will definitely go right after Charles, and I think I have room for one more attack, so I'm going to go ahead and rip the S3. No dual attack from Charles. And I was right, I got one more hit in, and that pushes the phase at 5 million points, which is an incredibly high score. I got very lucky with dual attacks from Charles, or I should say double hits from Charles. If your score is at least 4 million, maybe even 3.5 million, you should easily clear Dagger Sicar thresholds for this event. But with a score of 5 million, I'll probably be pushing easily top 10. So I established the buff block again because I need to push this phase down quickly. Although Cerise heals with Bloodstone, she doesn't heal terribly well. Her health is a little bit low, so I will go ahead and put up the gold shield. Also, the slow debuff will help move things along.
Watch and learn.
It's a little too early to use Charles's S3 quite yet. I know I want an attack buff on him, but I want that attack buff up for the break phase, so I'm going to stall the S3 for a little bit and get us a little closer to where we can one-shot into the break phase.
Stand by and watch. Assist me.
I'll help.
Archdemon does not submit to threats. Help.
I'll go.
And that takes us inside the break phase, and it lines up perfectly. I can S2 Cerise to establish the heal or the buff block. So now we got the extra damage. I'm going to go ahead and use Charles's S3 inside of the break phase. That'll give him an attack buff for the entire duration of this phase, which is very handy. And now it's the same as phase 1. You need to use her S3 when it's available to reestablish your ability to dual attack, and then you just spam dual attacks and hope for double hits from Charles. Like that. When Charles does his double attacks, it is almost 1,000,000 points of damage. 3.9 plus about 5.1 from the double. Okay, about 900k points of damage, but the double hits are really where it's at for pushing Dagger Sicar numbers in this fight.
Archdemon does not submit to threats. Sorry, but I have no intention of losing. I will not just stand by and watch. Help.
I'll go. How disappointing.
And there is 9 million. That's the Dagger Sicar threshold for Mercedes. And before we're even out of the break phase, we're over 10 million. I get one last hit in. Nice. Okay, over almost 11 million. So Mercedes gets a buff block, and that's immunity, and that's disappointing because I can't use the buff. Now if he S2s, this has about a 50% chance to strip and resisted. And when I say 50%, that's because he only has about 26% effectiveness. Cerise, on the other hand, has about 50% effectiveness, so this is a 75% chance to strip the buff block. And resisted. Okay, so 50% chance to strip the buff block and resisted. Okay, since none of my strips stripped, I get hit extra hard, and it looks like this is a wipe. That's disappointing. I really think this team could complete and get me a score close to 12.5 million, no problem. But unfortunately, the run ends at 11 million, and I need to start working on the second team rather than sit here and just spam attack this boss to try to squeeze out an extra 1 to 2 million points. So I'll take the 11 million score. That should still be exactly top 10. Now Tundra gave me some of the idea for this next team. This is a team that lets you score triple S plus easy and even push Dagger Sicar without really changing any gear. I'm running a standard Tamisaria. The scuffed Tamarin doesn't even have 90 gear on most of her pieces. You just want to make sure she's fast enough that she is the second unit to go right behind Asaria. I put Song of Stars on Asaria just for some extra damage. She needs to be the fastest unit on the team, at least 5% faster than Tamarin, and make sure she has enough effectiveness to stick her debuffs. Now Sid is my standard DPS Sid, except I've got Dust Devil on him instead of Wind Rider to try to get those extra double attacks. He does have 241 speed, but remember his imprint gives 10 speed to everyone else on the team, so everyone else is substantially faster than him. Well, everyone that is except for Summer Break Charlotte. She is there to give the 30% attack bonus and health bonus to the entire team, but she also does terrific damage, so I put her on Cruel Mischief to boost that damage even higher. Now if you really wanted to go nuts, you could put a Rage set on her, but I'm trying to present this as a team you don't need to re-gear for. So if Mercedes stuns Asaria or Tamarin, you need to restart. Anyone else and you're good to go because Tamarin will cleanse the stun when she transforms. Go ahead and use Asaria to reset Tamarin and then drop the S3. You need to get target and a buff block minimum. The defense break is just icing on the cake.
I'm scared.
You can go ahead and transform Tamarin, and using her S3 will put I should say after transforming her S2 will put an attack buff on everybody and push your entire team up. And go ahead and use Sid's S3 to enter the phase. Though it does more damage than the S1, you want to try to get those Dust Devil procs inside the phase. Now, if you don't have the defense break, that may not kill, but Charlotte will finish the job and push phase. If you get a chance to use Charlotte's S3, you should. It hits remarkably hard. Mine's only got 2 mola in it, and it still did a good chunk of damage. Now you're just looking at S1s. Charlotte will dual attack whenever her stacks are up. That's part of what makes her so nice for this. What I really like is when you get a Dust Devil, a Charlotte proc, and then the Dust Devil finishes the fight again. Big, big numbers. One thing to note, you want to make sure that your Sid has higher attack than your Charlotte, or else your Charlotte dual attacks with Tamarin instead of Sid. So you do need to be careful about the numbers when you're building this team. So that exited the break phase with about 3.3 million points. I think anything over, I mean, if you're just going for triple S plus, anything over 2 million is plenty, but I think if you get over 3 million, you should be able to push Dagger Sicar level.
Shall I attack? I'll start.
Now I'm trying to save and stack up Tamarin. I'm hitting one of the ads because I don't want to double push Mercedes. I don't want Mercedes' big attack to go off. Tamarin's skill 3 is ready, so it would be a waste to use the S2 right now. So I'm just going to S1 just to cycle the phase around a little bit.
Is it my turn?
And
This is going to hurt.
that Dust Devil proc pushed me pretty close. I think if I use my S3 here, it'll take me right up against the edge of entering the break phase, which is a perfect lineup for me. So I'm going to go ahead and rip the S3 just to get the numbers as close as I can to entering the round 2 break phase. That's perfect. I'll transform Tamarin, use her skill to boost everybody's attack and push the entire team up.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's shine.
And I can use Asaria to reset Tamarin, so she'll be ready to transform again as soon as Idle Form wears off. And I need this to stick the buff block or the run is over. And the buff block sticks. It didn't push phase though, so I'll go ahead and use Sid's S3. Just, hey, points are points, and this will definitely push us into the break phase. Okay, so I can start using the, going for the dual attacks. Again, if you've got her S3 skill ready, even if it's not molled, go ahead and rip it. It's about 400k damage. Over 400k damage. The dual attacks with Sid are great for damage.
This is my stage.
Now, Charlotte has an attack buff and Sid doesn't, so she will dual attack with Charlotte if I don't re-establish the attack buff, so I'm going to go ahead and use that skill just to put attack buff back on Sid.
Is it my turn? I'll start.
Now my Sid can attack, duel with Charlotte, get a Dust Devil proc, attack again,
I'm scared.
and Tamarin is ready to transform one more time. Everyone already has an attack buff, so I'll just use the S1 skill.
Get ready.
Shall I attack? This is my chance.
And I get another duel with Charlotte into a Dust Devil that hits again. 7.7 million. I need 9 million for Dagger Sicar threshold. As long as we clear for the 1 million point bonus, that should be a lock, and the team in this current state should have no problem clearing. Now, her S3 skill gives a speed buff to everybody, but mostly I'm worried about damage at this point. I know everybody already kind of has a speed buff that needs one, but I want to push this phase as quickly as possible. So I'll use Tamarin's skill to push everybody up to try to cycle through the damage as quickly as possible. Tamarin gets to go again. Dual attack with Sid. No Dust Devil proc.
Excuse me.
I'm going to use the S3 now. I know the S1 would dual attack with Charlotte, but the S3 does so much damage, it's worth it. And I can dual attack with Charlotte off of Asaria after I transform Tamarin. Actually, no, my buff block's ready. I will go ahead and use the S3, reestablish the buff block for that extra 70% damage. And Charlotte is... she still has her dual attack up, so the next person that attacks will get to dual attack with her after I transform. This couldn't have run more perfectly. I just hit 8 million points, so the 1 million point bonus will push Dagger Sicar threshold, push everybody up just to get the attack buff on Sid, and this S1 will seal the deal and get a dual attack. No Dust Devil proc, but 9.1 million points. That's well within the Dagger Sicar threshold on a team that the only gear I had to move around was changing 2 artifacts. If you have any questions about the teams, leave them in the comment section, and as always, like and subscribe. Have a good one.